Good evening and welcome to the Sound Off Show. My name is Linda Kirker. I host the program and I appreciate that you joined us tonight. Thank you so much. There's so much going on in this country and in the world these days, and even in this state, that my guests and I are going to have an interesting discussion tonight about some of those things. As you know, the phone number will be put on the screen, and if you're inclined, as we get into conversation, to give us a call and pose a question or make a comment, we would love to hear from you. But if you're so mesmerized by the show and you just can't manage to get to a phone, we understand. Anyway, thanks again for tuning in. There's so much to talk about. My guest tonight is a first-timer on the program. He's a friend, and his name is Bob Orleck. And welcome, Bob. Good to have you here.
Good to be here. Thank you.
You're welcome. You have an interesting background, actually two kinds of careers. You are an attorney and have actually, you moved to Vermont in 1973. You were in Hawaii for a long time, right?
That's right.
I'm jealous. And then when you came to Vermont, you served as Assistant Attorney General.
That's right.
As head of the Corrections Legal Division. And then you were in the Mental Health Legal Division. You were a busy boy. And head of all of the Human Services attorneys.
That's correct.
Wow. And then you went into business. You established your own pharmacy, so you're also a pharmacist.
Yeah, it can be a curse to have a couple of professions. If you want to jump back and forth and get bored with one. But
yeah, I can imagine.
It served me well because it gives me two different kinds of ways to look at things.
Yes.
Pharmacy I was the first 5-year class to graduate from the University of Cincinnati. And so I had a science background. I was only like one course short even of a...
medical degree?
No, of a major in chemistry as well.
Oh, for heaven's sakes.
So I had my BS in pharmacy and I graduated, and then I went right into law school at the University of Cincinnati, and I got my Juris Doctor degree there, and hopped in my Corvette and drove out Route 66 to Los Angeles, put it on a Matson steamliner, and headed to Hawaii and on the island of Maui. And I took a job originally as a pharmacist there and managed the Lahaina Crafts Drug right in the little town of Lahaina. It's a little whaling village and beautiful little town. Overlooks two other islands, the island of Lanai and the island of Molokai.
Oh, nice.
Just really terrific.
You're adventuresome.
Yeah, well, it was an adventure. I had really initially wanted to go to Colorado. And so I sent all my resumes out to Colorado, and a guy in Colorado had a friend in Honolulu. And so he sent my resume to the guy in Honolulu who had a friend in Maui.
Oh, for heaven's sake.
And he sent it to him in Maui. And so he contacted me, and he says, we have an opening. And I said, well, that's great. He said, send an application. So I sent an application, and he said, we have a lot of applicants. And then later on, he inquired a little bit more of me, and then I didn't hear anything for a long time. And so one day I got really bold, and I said, I'm just going to call him.
Good.
And so I called him, and he said, we had about 300 or 400 people that were interested, and we narrowed it down to about 10 people. You were one of them. Mm-hmm. He says, but you called me, and you really showed an interest, so come on over.
Oh, my goodness.
So it could have backfired. But I went over there, and then later on, I just felt the calling, so I took the bar exam over there, and then I took a job with the county attorney's office, and I was a prosecutor on Maui till we did civil work as well, represented the liquor control and so forth, and I actually handled a Civil Aeronautics Board case where Hawaiian Airlines wanted to discontinue service to the far village of Hana And so I actually took that case to Washington and argued it, and we were successful there.
You have an impressive resume.
Well, I had a lot of years to do it in, so it's really not that big deal.
Well, it's impressive. Congratulations.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that gave you a lot of opportunities to use your talents and your knowledge and to have experiences that if you hadn't done that, you wouldn't have had.
It did. Even on Maui, I was police attorney, so I would go. They would have an attorney with them when they went out on raids and so forth, on drug raids or gamble. They had a lot of gambling raids, and I would be there just to make sure, that things were done according to law. And it was a lot of fun. We had a lot. I've been shot at.
Oh my!
I was coming out of the mountain area, coming over to work, and all of a sudden a bullet hit my car. And,
oh my! We have a lot of that going on today.
Yeah, and I don't know if it was random or not, but I got out of the vehicle and I went and looked and I saw this bullet hole.
Oh my!
And all of a sudden I get these cold chills because I'm out in this wilderness area. And it seemed like it took an hour and a half to get in my car and drive on, but they never found who it was.
Really?
And I'm not sure it was related to my work, but could have been just a random thing.
Yeah, but
it was
feeling vulnerable.
But the biggest value that I had, with having both a science discipline and a factual discipline from the law, is that I was able to then. And it's the most important thing in my life was to, by faith, accept the Lord as my Savior. And that's, so for some people, that was really hard to think that somebody of science and somebody of a legal background could take that by faith. And I do. And that has that has directed my life because it gives me a worldview in which I can, it's almost like a plumb line that I can, look at various issues, and I seem to know almost immediately where I should be on those issues.
You have a guide.
A guide, a friend.
A friend.
And that was from when I was 19 years old, since I've been 19
Good
years
for
old.
you.
So.
Good for
and
you.
That's been the directing. That's been the most important thing. But, I was thinking about coming here, I was saying, well, why would Linda want to talk to me? I'm an over-the-hill guy.
You asked me that when I
Yeah.
called you. Why would you want me on the show?
But I thought, well, this is a good chance to get a lot of stuff off my chest. But the one thing that really struck me about, and it was the timing. The timing that we have here was that around the special times, Memorial Day and the 4th of July. And those were always special times for us. Because,
Absolutely.
We've had, where we live up on a hill in Randolph. And in 1943, a B-17 bomber flew over our property and they lost the engine and they crashed.
Oh, dear.
And 3 aviators died. And in 1991, they set up a remembrance stone, a memorial, right on the roadside there. And they had a memorial service, and they had like 120 people show up there. And they had, honor guard and speaker.
Very nice.
And they did that for every year up until about 2010. And the American Legion decided they didn't want to do that anymore. They were getting a little old, and they wanted to move that memorial down to town. And so me and a couple other neighbors said, we don't want them to do that. And we pushed back on it, and we said, we want to take it over. So from then on, I planned the memorial services up there. Well, it was in the right place at the right time.
Yeah.
And we had some tremendous memorial services, and the people would come, it'd be 60 or 80 people, 100 people. And when they would come, we'd invite them over to our house for lunch afterwards.
Oh.
And they would come over, and we would have a lunch, and they would stay around all day, and we would have just a wonderful time. So it became very special, and we've done that every year.
Absolutely. Well,
So then, this year there couldn't be one because we couldn't get that many people together.
oh, yeah, with the virus.
So it was kind of a sad thing. And then, but much to my surprise, there were one day on Memorial Day, 3 officers showed up with a wreath, and they put the wreath on the memorial.
That's special.
So that was nice. And then 4th of July came around, and there was no parade. And we're used to going to parades and really having a great
yeah.
time on the 4th.
Patriotism.
Yeah, and it was really a downer, kind of a downer.
I missed it too.
But we were invited out to dinner at a friend's house, and so we hopped in the car and we're heading up Route 66 there. You know, have you seen the Whale's Tails in Randolph?
I don't think
There's been this is the second set of them that was there. Jim Sardonis, he's an artist. These monstrous whale's tails are, right on the landscape,
Oh, wow.
I mean, they're beautiful things.
Oh, they're not on the highway.
No, they're on a hill.
Okay.
The
because
tails.
I've seen some on the interstate.
Those were the original ones that were in Randolph.
Oh, okay.
And they were moved, and then he did another set of them. And as we drove up there was, in the parking lot right next to there was somebody had put a big rig. It was like a water well digging rig, and it way high up on top. And they did it purposely. They put Old Glory up there.
Nice.
And I got a chill,
Of course.
And then about several days later, I get a card from a dear lady. I don't even know who she is.
Oh.
She said, "Dear friend, just a note to say hello. On the way to church yesterday, we saw the American flag on display on the Whale's Tail parking area. Warmed my heart. Held up high as it should be. Tough times, but even so, much to be grateful for. God is faithful and will help us keep the light shining and give us strength to do what he wants us to do. Keep on keeping on."
That's beautiful.
And I thought that was really, really
Very
amazing.
special. Yes.
So I the more I thought about it, thinking that, I'm really proud to be an American.
I am too. And we grew up to be patriotic and proud of our country. And, we said the Pledge of Allegiance in school every day. And when I was in school, we said the Lord's Prayer every day in the classroom.
We had prayer over the intercom. Yeah,
And, what's wrong with that?
I'll tell you what's right about it is that we both grew up in the same time frame in the 50s, and it was a wonderful time to live. And people could say, "Oh, you just didn't know." Oh, yes, I did. And my dad died when I was 50. When he was 50, when I was 50, when he was 50. And so we were relatively poor, but I didn't know it. We had great times.
You had the important things.
We had the important things. We had family, and we could play in the streets till 11 o'clock at night without any danger at all. And
yes, well,
we had to be home by dinner time, and then we could go out again and do whatever we wanted to do.
We had to go home when the street lights came on.
Yeah, we played hide and seek and
yes.
all that kind of good stuff.
Oh yeah, we roller skated and just did all kinds of.
But I'm really thankful for I see them want to knock down statues of Washington and Jefferson. And
breaks my heart.
It does.
Breaks my heart.
You think, how in the world could we ever get to that situation? These are really great leaders, and they built a great nation.
Yes, and even if there are some negative things that happened during their time, we are a great country, and you know that because we got away from those issues. And people have freedom in this country. It doesn't matter what your skin color is.
And the one thing I did learn when I became a Christian, that nobody's perfect except one.
Yep.
And that was the Lord. And so if what they're saying is that, these people had bad things going on in their lives, so therefore we got to knock down their statutes, or we got to take them out of history. If everybody had to be perfect, the history books would be blank. There wouldn't be anything in them.
Why aren't these people who are rising up and causing havoc and destroying private businesses and so much more, why aren't they in jail?
They should be in jail. And do you remember in the 60s when there was some pretty heavy rioting and stuff going on, during that period of time, anti-war stuff and that. And, it was dealt with pretty heavy-handedly. We brought in, I remember the Army coming in at times, and maybe I'm wrong about that, But I also remember the National Guard being ready to go, and they were ready, and there was real crackdowns, and we got past that.
Yes.
But you know what? I think there's a difference today. I don't think people understand what this country is about and why it's so great.
The children, in many cases, I have spoken with between 5 and 10 high school students recently at different times in different places where I've been in their company. There was one who came to my house. Someone came with his dad to give me a quote on something, and I asked the young man, have you been taught about the U.S. Constitution and, all of the founding documents?
No.
No. So, and I said to him, that's so sad, because you young people are the future of this country. And if you don't understand why you have the rights and the freedoms and the opportunities that you have as an individual, empowered individual in this country, then you're never going to stand up to fight for those gifts that were given to you many years ago.
Yeah, and that's great for you to say that to them, but even so, they haven't gotten that information from the system. I mean, the leftists that are in control of our educational system hey, it's just, I know you had shared a bit to me earlier about, Khrushchev and, how he had said we're going to fall as a nation. And one of the key things was to get the hold of the minds of the kids.
Oh, absolutely.
And why would we expect anything less from the kids than we get when they go into college? Because what they came out of the graded schools and so forth with absolutely no knowledge of the wonders of this country, the fabulous things of this country. I don't know, it's frightening, but this is a minor good thing that came, I think, from the COVID thing. There were I'm a real advocate of school choice and for homeschooling. I support, my daughter's a homeschooler, and
I do too.
I can tell you, my grandkids are brilliant. My little 5-year-old, she knew, we were watching Jeopardy one night, and I didn't know.
Oh, I love those shows.
And I didn't know the answer, and she did. And she turned to her mother, and she said, "Mother, Papa here has to be homeschooled." And she's so smart. She can look at a map of the U.S. without any names on it. She can point to all the states. She knows all the presidents.
Oh, my goodness.
5 years old. I mean, it was amazing, and all the kids are really like that, and plus they've got a good foundation, But the important thing that I mean, something I read, I don't know where it really is true, but since they're talking about the way schools are going to be operating now, a lot of people are rethinking how they want to educate their kids. And I saw the number, 40% of people were thinking of homeschooling, when only before there was 7%.
Really?
There's still 60% are getting the bad stuff, and so we got to do better with that.
Well, I ran into a woman in a store. I'll be careful how I say this so I don't expose who that person is, but she had a child with her, and I asked her how old the child was and what grade it was in, and come to find out, the woman is an educator in the schools. And I said, I hope that you'll forgive me for this. I said, but I truly believe, and I've said it on this show before, that our teachers and our children, our students, are trapped in a failed education system. And somebody, she acknowledged that I was right. And I've spoken with several other teachers who feel the same way. But they're not doing anything about it because they want to keep their jobs. So who's going to fight? Who's going to stand up and fight and say, we're paying, as I understand it, the second highest average per pupil expenditure in the country. And the tests just came out. They're tested on proficiency rather than actually taking a test and you have to answer questions and get a grade. Now it's all based on proficiency. All right, can you demonstrate that you know X, Y, or Z through some project? All right, and then you get a subjective grade through the teacher, not objective by data and facts and figures, what you know and what you don't, but the teacher can subjectively determine what your grade is going to be, and there could be, in some cases, a desire to make the teacher look good by what the grades are that the kids get.
Yeah. I think it goes so far into, just the absolute lack of, direction that they have given these kids in the way of teaching them. For instance, if you're going to take George Washington and you're going to take all these people out of history, how are they going to learn about these things? How are they going to learn about the founding? How are they going to learn if they don't teach the Declaration of Independence? If they don't talk about those things? But
yes.
It to me, it's so sad that the kids don't know about. They don't even. My grandkids know who all the presidents are.
Well, there'll be some of
a lot of the kids I've talked to today don't even know who the current president is. And they definitely don't know who the vice president is. And they don't know who, they know very little about anything. I don't know that Waters World guy, some of the questions that he's asked.
Yes.
It's just amazing what people don't know. But, again, just thinking about George Washington. If George Washington can be taken out of history, who is worthy of staying in history? Do you mind if I read something from this book? Just a short little thing.
No, I don't mind.
It's about George Washington, and it says of him.
Well, you got Ben Franklin, Thomas Jefferson.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
These people were phenomenal.
This about him says why. By the way,
I see it.
The history books that I studied, I've gotten in the habit. There's a lot of revisionist history. So what I had made it a point to do over the years is buy no history books that are that are 1920 or above. So I buy before that. So this book is in the 1900s.
I have a bunch of old books.
Yeah. And this is what history recorded George Washington as.
Okay.
Very short thing. Why is the name of George Washington honored above all others in America and revered throughout the civilized world? There is no other character that shines with greater luster in the pages of history, and it will remain undimmed through the ages to come. We're not seeing that. And yet Washington was not an orator. He had only a fair education, and since his death, there have been many equally skilled in statecraft, but no other nation or country has ever produced his equal. Some patriots have approached him in many of the high qualities, but not at all. Not in all. He was truthful, high-minded, an affectionate son and husband, charitable, a soul of honor, and a religious man, but so have and been thousands of others. But he was more than all those. It is rare in history that the life of a great nation depends upon one man. No name towers above the others in our second war with Great Britain, and had all the leaders in that terrific years from 1861 to 1865 never been born, the cause of the Union would have triumphed just the same. But had Washington been slain at Trenton or at Princeton or at Germantown, the Revolution would have ended then and there, and for no man then lived who was fitted to take his place to perform his stupendous work. He was appointed of heaven, and so, though exposed many times to peril, he was never wounded, but lived until his task was finished, and then lay down on his bed and peacefully died at Mount Vernon.
Wow, that's really nice.
That isn't what we hear today of George Washington.
No, it isn't. As you were reading, I came across this. I was listening, though.
Yes.
King Solomon wrote nearly 3,000 years ago, "Train up a child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it." Proverbs 22:6.
And there's a lot of truth in that.
Yep.
But if we don't bring them up in the right way, guess where they're going to be?
What do you have to stand your life up on? But obviously, religion, but also all the great things that this country stands for. Individual rights and empowerment. Where do you get that elsewhere?
That's why everybody wanted to come here.
And they still do.
Yeah, they do, but if we keep going down this path, that'll be the best way to handle the immigration problem. Nobody will want to immigrate to the United States. If we keep doing what we're doing now. The problem is we won't have any place to go either.
One of the things on my list, we're going to need a whole lot more time than we have.
Are we out of time?
Oh, no, we have another half hour.
Oh, my gosh.
But
I get 30 other things.
So do I. We'll have you back. But, oh, shoot. I just lost it.
Well, I got something I would like to talk about.
Education. Go ahead.
I would like to talk about the police.
Let's do it.
Can we do that?
Yes.
And can I put it in the context of something that I... My Uncle Joe was the son of a Russian immigrant. They came to the United States in 1904, fled Russia during the Russian Revolution. At 18, he joined the Navy. At age 37, he was a Mustang. He got his command, and he was on his ship coming into Salerno, and a German bomber got lucky and dropped a bomb, and it went down the stack of the ship. Killed a lot of the men. My Uncle Joe got the survivors off onto another ship, and he went back aboard because the ship righted itself, and he was going to take the lines and put it to tow and salvage it. It hit a mine, and he went down.
Oh.
And 3 months later, our nation honored him with the naming of a destroyer, the USS Orleck, DD-886. And I always say, where but in America could a son of a Russian immigrant have such a ship named after him?
Yes.
That ship went on to serve 37 years. Has more since World War II is the most decorated warship in American history.
Wow.
It served at the end of World War II. It served in the Cold War. During Korea, it actually.
What a wonderful tribute.
Yeah, it got trains up in the mountains, supply trains, and led other ships. They got 57 trains, I think it was. The Allies did. Vietnam, though, this relates to the police. Vietnam, it was a Top Gun in Vietnam. 14 battle stars there. It was the premier warship in Vietnam. I started an association of the men who served on that ship, and I've been doing reunions for them for 27 years.
Oh, good for you.
We do them all over the United States, 3-day reunions, and we've had one reunion for one ship, 540 people for 3 days.
Isn't that amazing?
And I do all the planning for those, and they're wonderful people. But guess what? I didn't have any Vietnam guys. I had a lot of Korea and World War II guys. And then one day I got to thinking about it, and I said, where are the Vietnam guys? And I started reaching out to them. I called one guy who was in Canada, and I asked him, I said, why don't you join us? And he cried.
Oh.
He said, thank you for asking me.
Oh.
And other ones the same way. And so, I started really emphasizing that. Now today, we just, we've done reunions in Hawaii and in San Diego and all over the place.
Over.
And the last one we did it in Norfolk, Virginia. And guess what? We had 70% of our people there were from Vietnam.
Oh.
And they really got involved before they weren't involved. So this is why I'm thinking about this. One of the things that happened with the guys when they came back from Vietnam, if you remember, they were treated very badly.
Yes, I do remember.
Because of the anti-war things. They were spit on. They were really vilified.
Yes.
Well, guess what? If you put that in the same context as what's happening to our police, they are being vilified these are wonderful.
For doing their job.
For doing their job, for really keeping us safe. And so, I heard you say somewhere, and I don't know where I heard it, that you wanted to do something to honor the police. And
Yes.
I'm thinking, we need to do that.
Yes, we do.
One thing that I was thinking we should do, just like we say to these veterans, thank you for your service, we should be saying that to the police. When I was getting gasoline coming up here, this is fortuitous. A trooper pulled in and was getting gasoline next to me.
Oh.
And I just turned around and I said, hey, how's your day? He says, it's okay. I says, yeah, it's pretty tough. He says, yeah, it's kind of not too, it doesn't make you feel real good.
No.
And I said, well, guess what? There's an awful lot of us that care about you, and we really appreciate what you're doing. He was just a young guy, really young guy. He got a smile on his face. And I said, what does that hurt? It maybe didn't do a great deal, but what if everybody did that? What if we start carrying signs around in front of the police stations? What if we, if we all have some little event?
We'll make a plan, you and I.
Yeah.
We'll make a plan.
Okay.
Okay?
I'm for it.
I am too. I actually now and then stop in to visit with the sheriff, and I've done that the same with the chief of police. I just stop in, and if they're there, they welcome me into their office, and we sit there and chat.
So what's the plan?
Well, wait a minute.
We haven't got much time.
Give me just a minute, will you? But while you were talking about having a family member honored by having a ship with their name, one of my Norwegian relatives in this country, though, there's a ship also I found out not too long ago named after, it's called, I think it's the USS Fieberling, and that's a family name. And I was thrilled to hear that. I need to get more background information. I'll have to but I
might be able to help you with that.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
I'll tell you how to
Yeah.
spell the name after the show.
Talking about with police.
Yes, let's talk about that.
Okay, I get a little something about that might be a thought provoker. Do you mind about police? He said, "I was a police officer." Have you ever heard that?
No.
It says, "Today I will not answer the radio call that your boyfriend has come home drunk and has
Into the mic, please.
Today I will not answer the radio call that your boyfriend has come home drunk and is beating you again. Today I will not answer the radio call that your 16-year-old daughter, who is responsible, is 4 hours late coming home from school. Today I will not answer the radio call that your store has been robbed or your house has been burglarized. Today I will not stop a drunk driver for killing someone. I will not catch a rapist or a murderer or a car thief. Today I will not answer the radio call that a man has a gun or tried to abduct a child, or that someone has been stabbed or has been in a terrible accident. Today I will not save your child that you locked in a car, or the child you were too busy to watch who went outside and fell into the swimming pool, but that I revived. No, today I will not do that. Why? Today I was suspended from duty for doing my job because the media, leftists, community organizers, and a mayor who ran on an anti-police agenda, who all know nothing about policing, have vilified my profession. Because today I was killed by a drunk driver while I was helping push a disabled car off the road. Today I was shot and killed during a routine traffic stop to simply tell someone that they had a taillight out. Today I was killed in a traffic accident rushing to help a citizen. Today I was shot and killed serving a warrant on a known drug dealer. Today I was killed by a man when I came to do a welfare check because his family was too busy. Today I was killed trying to stop a bank robbery or grocery store robbery. Today I was killed doing my job. A chaplain and an officer will go to a house and tell a mom and a dad or a wife or a husband or a child that their son or daughter or husband or wife or father or mother won't be coming home today. The flags at many police stations will be flown at half-mast today, but most people won't know why. There will be a funeral, and my fellow officers will come. A 21-gun salute will be given, and taps and bagpipes will be played as I'm laid to rest. My name will be put on a plaque on a wall in a building in a city somewhere. A folded flag will be placed on a mantle or a bookcase at a home somewhere, and a family will mourn. There will be no cries for justice. There will be no riots in the street. There will be no officers marching, screaming, no justice, no peace. No citizens will scream that something must be done. No windows will be smashed, no cars burned, no stones thrown, no names called. only someone crying themselves to sleep at night will be the only sign that I was cared for. I was a police officer.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
That's very poignant.
Yeah.
And I can tell you feel that.
Oh, I do. I worked with these people.
Yes, yes.
And I care for them.
Why are we as a culture, the citizenry, appearing right now to be allowing these renegades, these people whom I believe are being paid to do what the harm that they're doing in this country?
They are. They're Marxists.
Yep, they're Marxists, they're anti-America, they're anti-freedom, and they're socialist, Marxists, communists, whatever you want to call them. But they're trying to bring this country down.
Yes, they are.
And we cannot allow it, folks. We can't allow it. It's time to stand up and speak out and fight back.
That's right.
I can't help it. I love this country so much. There's so much potential here, but all of these things which I read to you before the show are coming to fruition.
Yes, they are.
And I don't know where it is right now, but I will read it next week.
Okay. Well, one thing, I think that we better wake up real quick, because what I'm hearing is that police officers like New York City, I mean, have you heard the murders that are happening in New York City?
Yes.
Have you heard the murders that happen in Chicago? And they're increasing like 50% or more. And, it just, since all these problems started. And it's because, it's not because police are on the streets, because there's not enough police on the streets. And then the mayor of New York City cuts $1 billion from the police budget.
The police.
And then a little infant just got shot, a little black infant.
Yep.
And then I hear Black Lives Matter, BLM, saying, that they care about black people. But I can tell you that you don't hear a word from them talking about those children that are being killed. You don't hear anything from them. All you hear is, we got to deal with the police that are killing blacks. Well, if you look at the statistics, there is no systemic killing of blacks in the police departments.
No.
There are some bad people, and there are some people that make mistakes, but if somebody coming at you with weapons and so forth, you might make a mistake too.
Yep.
And here we are, if we don't get it straight soon, the police are retiring early.
Oh, they're retiring, and
the recruits are not coming on.
that's right, hundreds of them, and this is the goal of these renegades, of these anti-American people who are trying to destroy the foundational structure of the United States of America.
And on top of it all, they're wanting to take our guns away, so we can't even defend ourselves. I don't want to have to defend myself, but I'll tell you one thing: we may be that point, because just knowing the police are around deters people. And I don't know if we got time to talk about criminal justice at all.
Yes.
I'm sorry.
No, one, if I may. Here, this was spoken by President George Washington in his address to the second session, First United States Congress, the role of firearms. Here's what he said. Firearms stand next in importance to the Constitution itself. They are the American people's liberty teeth and keystone under independence. The church, the plow, the prairie wagon, and citizens' firearms are indelibly related. Every corner of this land knows firearms, and more than 99.9 to 100% of them, by their silence, indicate they are in safe and sane hands. The very atmosphere of firearms anywhere and everywhere restrains evil interference. They deserve a place of honor with all that is good. When firearms go, all goes. We need them every hour.
And it's a shame we're going to need them the way we're going to need them. I have a little example. Like do you know deer love to eat hosta plants? They love to eat hosta plants. We have hosta plants around our trees. They don't touch them. I got a big dog, and they know he's out in the yard at times and so forth. Right in the property where that memorial is, they have hosta plants around there. He doesn't go over there. Guess what? They're all eaten.
They're all what?
They're all eaten.
Oh.
Just the mere presence of that dog, of being potentially there, those deer don't come.
It's a deterrence.
And the same thing with the
guns.
One of the things that I learned, I was a prosecutor, and I did not prosecute the way they prosecute today. We did not plea bargain cases. We charged fairly. And when somebody committed a crime, we charged them with that crime. We didn't overcharge them, so we could reduce some charges to get them to plea. The only thing we would do if we were plea bargaining with them, we said, we'll leave the sentencing up to the professionals to decide what your sentence will be if they pleaded guilty. We had majority pleading guilty, but the thing that I found, and the thing that during that period of time when I was in law enforcement, when I was a prosecutor, it was very needed to have criminals know that their apprehension is going to be sure, their prosecution is going to be swift, and their punishment is going to be severe.
By the law.
And guess what? That's just like keeping the deer away.
A deterrent.
Yeah,
because there are consequences.
Consequences. And I just heard today that the feds just executed somebody they killed.
Oh, they did execute
They
him
did
finally?
execute them. They killed the family back 20 years ago.
Yeah.
So, there was a court case just before that said that they couldn't do it. The Supreme Court was 5-4, and they let them be executed. There's 3 more that were involved in that murder, and they're going to be executed in July and August. But the point is, that surely isn't sure. It wasn't swift 20 years. It's severe. We need to get all 3 of those back together, and people need to know if they're going to violate the law,
there are consequences.
They're going to have to pay the price.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's the deterrent.
That's a deterrent.
And as long as we...
And now we don't prosecute drug crimes. We redefine crimes, and then we can say, oh, the crime rate is down. No, it's not down. I know it's not down. It's way up.
Bob, it is every aspect. These people who want to bring this country down and have us be a part of a global government, UN global government, George Soros is one of the big funders of all of this disruption, trying to destroy the United States. Unfortunately, he's a citizen of this country as well as another country, the one that he came from. But this man destroyed 2 other nations. It was financially he did that. But this man is evil. And we are allowing him to spend his multi-billions of dollars to buy actions from people who want to bring down every education, healthcare, law enforcement, you name it.
Linda, why in the world? You remember how they got Al Capone? They got him on the IRS got him. They got him. They followed the money. Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
We got, isn't Antifa designated a terrorist organization?
I guess.
Where is the money coming from? If people are giving money, they should be tracking that money. I heard Alan West talk about that. You know who Alan West is.
Yes, I do. I've met him.
And he's a fabulous man. And he said, why have we let these people run free like this? We need to. Maybe we're not inclined to want to shoot them in the street, I guess.
No. But we have elections coming up, Bob, and we need to be electing people who support the laws of this nation.
And I can tell you they're not Democrats.
I know.
Yeah.
And people who respect the citizens enough and the children enough to want to have programs that will give them the tools they need to be great citizens and happy people in life. And as long as we're downgrading everything, look at our healthcare system in Vermont now, One Care Vermont. I made some notes about that. They're here somewhere. I have so many notes. It's unbelievable. But
oh yeah, there's so many things. So even the COVID-19 money that was, I mean, I'm not sure I'm in favor of the way we're doing things, but they sent us $1.25 billion, but the Democrat leader of the House said she wants to hold on to a couple $100,000 of that in case the federal government changes its way of letting the states spend the money. So instead of this money going to people who needed the money, who are out of work and trying to feed their family, she wants to use a couple $100,000 of that money if permission is given to pay off their bad debts, their poor management. And if we don't elect Republicans in Vermont, we don't even have enough Republicans to sustain a veto if the governor vetoes it. We've got to elect Republicans. I'm not going to vote for any Democrats, not a single. I have never said that in my life. I always vote for the person. But right now it's the party. And that party, if you look at their platform, they want to.
I'm on the platform committee.
They want to. So am I.
Oh, you are?
Yeah. So yeah.
Okay, we'll talk.
Yeah. So and so if we don't elect those people, I just don't know what we're going to do.
We're going to go down faster.
They're going to continue to do anything that they want to do.
Yep.
They use a lot of really nice words about caring about people.
Yeah.
They care about people as long as they can spend our money to keep them economically enslaved.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. By the way, George Soros, I got this from a reasonable source. Let's see, giving $220 million to black-led justice organizations. Now, I'm not anti-black, and I'm sure you're not either.
No.
I want people to be of all religions and colors and so forth to be productive citizens and comfortable in their own skin.
Linda, we are all a part of the human race.
Yes.
Black, yellow, green, whatever. We are humans, and God says we are all equal. And this is, I really offended by the fact that if they really want to rename their organization Black Lives Matter, they ought to name it All Black Lives Matter. I mean, I don't even agree with that, but all, because they don't care about the fact that there are thousands of blacks being killed by blacks.
Yeah.
In the inner cities, and guess who runs those inner cities?
Democrats.
All Democrats.
I know.
Are they doing anything about it? Yeah, they're doing something about it. They're defunding the police.
I know.
So guess what? If Black Lives Matter really cared about black lives, you know what they would be? They would be pro-police.
Yep.
They would.
Listen, regarding health care in Vermont, the Green Mountain Care Board, 5 people who are selected to serve on that board. You know what their budget is? $1.43 billion. Now, I believe, let me see here. Let's see, the cost of the healthcare system, $19 million for administration.
Yeah, I know.
Okay? And
It's
our hospital here is suffering because of that One Care Vermont. The number of employees, our hospital here, Northwestern Medical Center, asked a lot of employees, to voluntarily leave their jobs. And they did. Because the hospital, I think this is correct, somebody correct me if I'm wrong, the hospital was $10 million in the hole. And it's all about the way that the healthcare system is being run. And I rarely get to see a doctor anymore, maybe once a year. They have some...
Well, I was going to say, all of this is going to lead to one thing. It's going to lead to a lot of people dying. And maybe we ought to get together and talk about this too.
Oh,
'cause
we could talk about a lot of things.
I saw a lot of what I saw as a pharmacist back when I was a pharmacist, and the way healthcare was, and the way people participated in their healthcare. It wasn't. You actually had to collect your bills and then work them and send them to the insurance company. But when you cut out the middle person, and you just have these people change. Even the drug industry used to be honorable. I mean, there were drugs that were like, a dime a piece, a pill now, or $150 to $200 a pill.
Oh, yeah. I have one medication.
I used to defend the pharma, but I can't defend them. They can't be defended.
Well, there are so many problems. Do you think there should be a citizenship, what's wrong with my voice, my mouth tonight? Shape up, Linda. Do you think that on the U.S. Census form, there should be a citizenship question?
President did.
I really think in order to have a say in the census.
I'm not real keen about our census and what they're doing with it now.
No, I'm not either.
But yeah.
They use it against us.
Of course. Yeah.
Okay. Well, we have too much government. And the folks know, I'm sure if they view this show regularly, they know that I'm not a big government fan, and that the size of government is way too big, way too expensive. It makes living in this state way too expensive, and that has to be changed.
Well, the founders, they expected a limited government, and it was the most effective.
And it's outlined.
And so what's the most important thing the government would do would be to protect us. And two things.
How about the border?
Protect us in the domestic and also foreign, deal with us that way. And then let us do what we do best, and that's to build community, to build wealth, to raise families and so forth. But now they got their hands into all of that.
That's the way you get socialism.
And our Democratic leaders in this state are very socialist bent. I know. Boy, I sure hope people get the message. We got more Republicans running in November than we had last year.
200 and some. I can't remember.
I don't know the number, but I'll tell you, we need to get out and work for them.
Well, speaking of candidates, folks, I just wanted to let you know, one of the candidates, I was asked to introduce this person. His name is John Clark. He is running as a Republican candidate for a governorship, and on Friday, July 31st at 4:30, he's going to be at Taylor Park by the gazebo, and even if you don't know who he is or you're not sure whether you like him or not, come and hear what he has to say about his vision for the state of Vermont, his beliefs, and if you agree with him, great. If you don't, then, so be it. But I like to get a perspective on all of the candidates so that I can make a wise decision about who's going to receive my vote. So hopefully you'll come July 31st, Friday at 4:30 at Taylor Park, and you can learn who he is and whether you are a fan and you'd like to give him your vote or not. Okay. We are down to the last 2.5 minutes, my friend.
Can I give one little point that we haven't touched?
Sure.
That's legalization of cannabis for recreational use.
Okay, and excuse me 1 second, because I know time is really short. Well, you just go.
Well, our budget, we're going to have a real shortfall, and that's why they want the COVID money to pay for that.
Oh, yeah.
And yet, they're going to come back in a month, and they're going to potentially, for the Cannabis Control Board, fund $1 million without any revenue coming in. They want to take it out. We can't let them do that.
What for?
To get this thing off the ground.
Well, let it.
They're going to have to, for the next 3 years, they don't expect revenue. They expect us to have to bring out $3 million out of the budget just to pay salaries.
Government should not be funding
And these salaries are really, for the directors, and that are real, to me, are obscene for what they're doing. The other thing is, we got to watch out that they're, with these constitutional amendments that are coming, that would embed in our Constitution, if they ever, when they get to the vote, this one will come to vote in 2022 because it has to go through the next legislative session and be approved. But the
it's a drug.
Proposal 5 for abortion, which allows abortion up to the time a child is ready to be birthed. You can kill that baby in the womb. So you know what?
No way.
You talk about these Democrats are carrying. That's in their platform. These Democrats are carrying people. They don't care about anything but power, and that's all they want to do. They don't care about life, and they talk about caring about a few individual people. But I'll tell you, why don't we care about everybody?
Including the unborn.
All lives matter.
All lives matter. Amen.
Yeah.
I agree 100%. And these poor little babies waiting to be born, bless them and keep them safe. And the medical center in Burlington has an abortion clinic. That's sinful.
It is.
That should be a place for healing.
Yep. There will be judgment.
I believe it. I hope so. But we folks stand up and speak out and vote accordingly. Okay, we're down to the last 5 seconds. Thank you, Bob Orleck, for joining me on the show. Folks, thank you so much for joining us. I'll see you again next week. I have another great guest. Good night.
Good night.